Imagine you're driving down a busy street and you see a brand new Ferrari pull up to a red light. Your first instinct is to think, that guy is rich. But according to Morgan Housel in The Psychology of Money, you actually have no idea if that's true. All you know for certain is that he has $250,000 less than he did before he bought the car. This is the starting point of understanding that doing well with money isn't about how smart you are, it's about how you behave. Most of us were taught that finance is a math-based field where you follow formulas and check data. But in the real world, people don't make financial decisions on a spreadsheet. They make them at the dinner table or in a meeting room where personal history, your unique view of the world, ego, pride, and even a little bit of fear are all scrambled together. If you've already read Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Think and Grow Rich, you know the mindset of seeking assets over liabilities. But Housel takes it a step further by showing us the hidden psychological traps that keep even the smartest people from staying wealthy. One of the most profound lessons in this book is the distinction between being rich and being wealthy. Rich is a current income. It's the flashy watch, the designer clothes, and the expensive mortgage. Rich is what you see. Wealth, however, is what you don't see. Wealth is the cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, and the stocks not sold. Wealth is the money that has not yet been converted into stuff. It is the option to buy something later, the flexibility to change careers, or the ability to retire early. The problem is that it's very easy to find role models for being rich, but it's nearly impossible to find role models for being wealthy because by definition, wealth is hidden. You can't see someone's brokerage account while they're walking down the street. This leads many of us to try and look rich to feel successful, which is the quickest way to actually stay poor. To build true wealth, you have to understand the power of enough. There is no reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need. We live in a world of social comparison where we constantly look at people making more than us, and we move our goalposts. If you make $100,000 a year, you start hanging out with people who make $200,000, and suddenly you feel poor again. This is a game you can never win. The only way to win is to realize that enough isn't too little. It's the point where you stop the cycle of greed from ruining your happiness. Then, there is the freak show of compounding. We all know that compounding is powerful, but our brains aren't wired to understand it intuitively. We think linearly, not exponentially. When we look at Warren Buffett, we see a genius investor, but the real secret to his $100 billion plus fortune isn't just his skill, it's time. He started investing when he was 10 years old. If he had started at age 30 and retired at 60 like a normal person, you would likely have never heard of him. More than 90% of his wealth was created after his 65th birthday. The lesson here is that you don't need to be a financial genius or find the next big stock that goes up 1,000% in a week. You just need to be pretty good at investing for a very, very long time. Time is the most powerful force in finance, but it only works if you give it decades to grow without interrupting it unnecessarily. This brings us to the concept of getting rich versus staying rich. These are two completely different skills. Getting rich requires taking risks, being optimistic, and putting yourself out there. But staying rich requires the exact opposite. It requires humility, a little bit of paranoia, and the realization that what you have could be taken away just as fast as it came. Many people are great at the first part, but terrible at the second. They hit a big win and then double down with even more risk, eventually losing it all. Survival is the only strategy that matters in the long run. If you can stay in the game without going bust, the compounding will eventually do the heavy lifting for you. Housel also reminds us that managers of money aren't just about the numbers. They are about control. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That is the real ROI of money. It's not about buying more stuff. It's about buying your time back. Having a pile of cash sitting in a boring savings account might not earn you a high interest rate, but it gives you an invisible return. By giving you the power to tell a bad boss to shove it, or the peace of mind to wait for the right job opportunity instead of taking the first one that comes along. We also have to accept that we are all a little bit crazy when it comes to money, and that's okay. Your personal experiences with money make up maybe 0.000001% of what's happened in the world, but they make up about 80% of how you think the world works. Someone who grew up during a recession will view the stock market differently than someone who grew up during a bull market. Neither is right or wrong. They are just shaped by their history. Acknowledge your biases, stay humble about what you think you know, and prioritize room for error. A plan only works if it can survive reality. Most people plan for everything to go right, but a good financial plan accounts for things going wrong. You need a gap between what you think will happen and what can happen. This is why saving is so important, even if you don't have a specific goal in mind. Savings that aren't for anything specific are basically a hedge against life's inevitable surprises. It's your safety margin. Think of your money like a garden. In the beginning, you're excited and you want to see results overnight, so you keep digging up the seeds to see if they've sprouted. But all that meddling actually kills the plant. Most people lose money not because they picked the wrong stocks, but because they couldn't sit still. They got scared when the market dropped, or they got greedy when they saw their neighbor getting rich on a meme coin, so they changed their plan. Real wealth comes from the boring middle years where nothing seems to be happening. It's about having the emotional strength to do nothing when everyone else is panicking. If you can just stay not broke for a long enough time, the math of compounding will eventually turn your small, consistent efforts into a fortune you never thought possible. Lastly, remember that the goal isn't just to have a high net worth, it's to have a high peace of mind score. You don't want to be the person who has millions in the bank but stays up all night checking stock prices. True financial success is when money stops being a source of stress and starts being a tool for happiness. This happens when you stop using money to impress people you don't even like and start using it to buy back your mornings, your hobbies, and your time with family. Your enough is your shield against the world's constant pressure to want more. Once you realize that the best things in life, like a quiet morning, a good book, or a walk with a friend, don't cost much, you've actually won the game. Master your ego, keep your expenses low, and you'll find that you are wealthier than most billionaires who are still chasing their next fix of more. If this video moved you, like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe this channel. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.